Rachel, a journalist, copywriter, content writer, the founder of Rachel's List.
And Lynn Testoni, I'm a journalist and a content creator.
Yes.
So this is the Content Bite, which is a podcast for journos, content writers, digital writers, copywriters, editors, social media writers, basically anyone who just uses their words to make money.
Yes.
That's us.
That is us. And what are we talking about this week, Lynn?
We're talking about how to get content clients
No.
to keep coming back.
Yes. How to keep content clients coming back.
How to get content clients. Yes, that's
We haven't been drinking, honest, we're drinking tea.
We're drinking tea. Yeah, exactly. But that's how to keep them coming back and wanting more. Isn't that it?
That's right. Yes. So what do you think it comes down to, Lynn?
Well, I'm a big believer, it's very old-fashioned, but in under-promising and over-delivering. So basically, I try and surprise all my clients with a few extra things that they didn't know they wanted it until it appears in their inbox. So I tend to add things like extra keywords, because a lot of my work is digital now. Keywords, a bit of metadata. Sometimes I give them a bonus Instagram or a Facebook post, which is, I've already done the work. It's just adding a little bit of time.
It's like Christmas.
It is like Christmas, a little bundle of joy. and I think the other thing, I try and be really easy to work with and really nice. I know that sounds really daggy and old-fashioned, but clients,
it's basic, isn't
it is basic politeness and good business, isn't it? Just to be nice to work with.
Yeah.
What about you, Rachel? What are your things?
Repeat business. What does it come down to? Okay. I definitely think a lot of it is about that relationship building that we talked about in our last episode about networking. Really big on building those relationships. Agree with you. It's about being friendly and really easy to work with. But I also think it's about taking an interest in the client and their business and thinking of ways that you can sort of help them and how you can solve problems that they have that they might not even consider problems, but you can solve them because you've got those skills or you find it easy and suddenly they're getting more traffic or, they're getting more engagement on their socials.
So nice when you do that, isn't it?
Yeah, you can actually do things for them.
For people,
And I think that also slightly mercenary, but you make yourself completely indispensable so they're never ever going to go and find another content writer or another copywriter because they just love you and you do everything for them and the end. They stick around for a decade.
Oh, that's true. You've got clients you've had for a decade?
I do, yeah. I've got lots of really long-standing clients, which is absolutely awesome, and that's really what you want as a freelancer,
You understand them, they know what you can deliver. It's
and
great.
you also, I think with that is you also feel like you know their business inside out, and they love that about you. So you're almost like a staffer, but you're not on staff, and you're separate, but you really know everything about their business and how they run and what they like and the tone and
who their clients, who their customers are.
Yeah.
So that's important too.
Hugely valuable to a lot of clients. So
exactly.
Yeah. So, but let's talk a little bit about solving problems because we talk about what does that actually mean? How are we solving problems for clients? What are some examples?
I think for one of my clients, one of their big issues was they didn't have a lot of great images on their website. Now, I'm not a photographer. However, I do know lots of good photographers. So for me, the extra upselling that I did was, as well as writing the stories, which is obviously my core thing, I put them in touch with photographers and organised photo shoots. And I worked with photographers that I know will deliver good work, and I've helped them out, and it's been a great solution. And of course, I mean, one of my clients said they can't believe how sexy their roofs look. Because I've had really good, and a good photographer can make a roof look really good. And but that's great. And I think that makes a difference. And that's not something they could do themselves. They didn't know photographers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you about clients loving when you can connect them with people who can solve problems for them that you can't solve. So we're getting a little bit ahead, but I suppose, I had a similar situation with a client recently where I was writing all his copy, blog posts, etc. But he really needed someone to do ad sales for him, and he needed someone to look at his SEO and audit his site. And I just happened to know two fantastic people that I could put him in touch with, and he was so stoked, So you can almost like create a little posse of freelancers and when you're that connected to so many great people, you can help clients out in those ways, even though it might not mean more money for you.
It's about adding value to the client.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, solving their problems can also mean, so for example, I was asked to write, blog posts for a client. And then I went in and looked at her blog and I saw that all the blogs before the ones that I'd written were just terrible and needed editing and everything. So, I said, I'm happy to edit all those for you. So I got extra work, editing and bringing her blog up to, a standard that she was really, really pleased about. And I also think, you can easily say, a client could ring you and say, I really need 3 blog posts, and I'll pay you $1,000 or whatever, and I need them by Friday. And you can say, okay, great. But, I think that as freelancers, we have to constantly be thinking, how can we, what else could we do for that client? How else could we, fix their problem?
Surprise and delight them.
That's
what I like.
Yes. Say that they are, doing their own social and they're posting to Instagram, doing their 30 hashtags, and then they're just sharing that post to Facebook.
Yeah.
Now, if you know anything about social media, you'll know that it's...
Hashtags don't work on Facebook.
No, and you definitely don't want 30 hashtags on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's just, so little things like that. If you can help a client, by, sharing a little bit of knowledge, it can just...
Sometimes you even see that they're spending money in ways that are unnecessary, and you can suggest that it could be spent in a different way.
Exactly.
And not necessarily with you, but with somebody else. Or, as
they
I say...
love that. I've done that for a couple of clients.
Yeah, certainly with things like imagery and stuff like that. Sometimes I've found by giving them... supporting other creatives as well, I think is really good. That people that, are going to do a good job... I think that's really important. I also use all my informal networks. Like sometimes it might be just somebody I know, like a friend of mine called me the other day because she just needed somebody's connection with the one of the charities I do work for, and I just did the email introduction, and that's all I did. But that makes it nice. I can always call on her if ever I need a favour over that way or help with her network. It just broadens your network every time, I think, and it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what other ways do you get clients coming back?
I think it's really great, like if you've done something for a client and you're happy with it, like say you've written a website for them, website copy for them, don't just slink away and move on to your next job. Share that and say, I was so happy to work on XYZ's website, it's looking great, take a peek, put it on your socials. They'll absolutely love you for it. Goes without saying, you send them a quick email after the project. I loved working on this project with you. Thanks so much for the work. It just...
And say that you'd love to do it again.
Absolutely.
I say that all the time.
And you could also be, if they say, yep, fantastic working with you, and then that's the end of it, you can always, go back a week or two later and just say, look, just wanted to let you know I've got a gap in my schedule for November. If you're outsourcing anything, would love to help you out again. I'm really big on sending Chrissy cards to clients and editors who've given me lots of work throughout the year, because I just think that's a really nice way to say thank you. And sometimes I'll send chocolates too if I'm feeling very rich. I think, what else? You can add reminders. Do you do the reminders to your calendar?
Yes, I do. If sometimes to follow up. Sometimes when they talk about, there might be a second stage of a project, say a big website or something they're talking about it, I usually put a note in my diary. I don't think about it again. It's just in there and it pops up and saying, oh, contact this organisation, see how they're going. And that's quite good, because often they say, oh, I've been meaning to contact you. We're not quite ready, but from next week we will be. And it just prompts them, and it helps you make sure that you're front of mind. And also then they know that you've been thinking about them.
Yep.
I also tend to, because it's back to your original point about taking interest in the client and their business, if I ever see anything of interest that I see in the media about them that they might find interesting, where there might be an interesting podcast, it might be an article, particularly if it's something out of the ordinary, like a overseas magazine they may not have seen, or something. Obviously, if it's in a mainstream newspaper, they probably know about it, but sometimes it's the quirky things.
You'll send it to them.
I send it to them with a little note, just saw this, without asking for work, to say, and sometimes people said, fantastic, and we've been meaning to contact you. Yeah.
But I think the beauty of doing that, like finding those little things that the client is going to be really interested in, even though it might mean nothing for you, and passing that on, it really makes them think, hey, she's, got her finger on the pulse, and she knows stuff that we don't know, and it positions you as a bit of an authority, and, you know, keeps being...
I follow all the hashtags that are important to my clients on Instagram and Twitter. And so if something suddenly gets a bit of a rush, or there's a lot of activity, I tend to know. And that sometimes is an indicator that they need help as well. Yeah.
I also think, like, offering to just pop in if you're in the neighbourhood, or I think we talked about that, just, would you like to have a catch-up, quick coffee, even though it might not mean any work for you, I think can be kind of useful as well, and just keeping the fires burning with that client, supposedly. Well,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just keeping everything, the connections open, I think. Yeah.
And sending newsletters. We've talked about that in previous ones, which I don't do it, but thinking about it. Still thinking about it.
Yes. So, I try and send newsletters, or sometimes a bit of an update. I also tend to LinkedIn, because you said you get a lot of work through LinkedIn. So sharing things in LinkedIn is a good thing, because I think that's quite a corporate sort of environment if you're looking for clients.
Absolutely. Well, I
that's
think
pretty
we've
good.
reached the end. We have reached the end of how to get content clients. No, I didn't even write that properly. That's why we keep stumbling over
how
the
to
title.
get content clients coming back.
That's right. That is what we were trying to say all along. And you have been listening to Lynn and Rachel on the Content Bite.
So find us on Facebook at The Content Bite, or you can email us at
contentbite@gmail.com.
That's it. Fantastic.
Thanks for listening.